Hi, this is Mike from Mike's Unboxing Reviews and How To, and on today's video we're taking a look at something actually a little bit new in the world of fans. This is the Thermaltake SWAFAN 12 and the SWAFAN 14. Keep watching to find out more. Okay, so in today's video we're taking a look at the SWAFAN 12 and the SWAFAN 14. What an unusual name. These are something actually a little bit different. Something actually a little bit exciting in the PC RGB fan market. I'll cut to the chase straight away. The unique selling point of these particular fans is the fact that you can swap out the rotors, which is actually something which I'm surprised people haven't done before. Now, we've all done it before, or at least some of us have. You've installed the fans on your radiator and you've put it in your case and you've thought, that looks a little bit naff, especially if you've had to change the direction of the airflow. Now generally, when you're looking at a fan face on, it looks very nice, the RGB illuminates and everything is great. But if you have a case where you've got a radiator side mounted possibly, and you've got the airflow pointing inwards rather than being out, then the fans generally look awful. You can see the back, you can see the stickers, and more importantly, you don't get to see all of that RGB goodness. So Thermaltake, in their wisdom, have addressed a problem which some of you may not actually have, but now you know it, you don't have to have that problem anymore. So we're going to go through today, we're going to do an unboxing on the SWAFAN 12. The SWAFAN 14 is essentially exactly the same in terms of what you actually get inside of the packaging, the contents, etc. The only difference is going to be the physical size. So these are 140mm fans, whereas this is a 120mm fan setup. Both of them come with 3 fans, both of them come with a controller, all of the same cabling, all the same mountings, including mountings for mounting to a radiator or just to a case if you want to use it just for airflow. It's all exactly the same. Now, unfortunately, something which isn't exactly the same is the pricing. Now, at the moment in the UK, the kind of recommended retail pricing of these, we're looking at £89.99 for the SWAFAN 12, and we're looking at £99.99 for the SWAFAN 14. I'll put some links in the video description so you can check them out for yourselves, and obviously depending when you're watching this video, then the prices may have changed, may have gone up slightly, may have gone down slightly, but as of the release date, which is going to be the 18th of August 2022, the estimated retail price is going to be, like I said, £90 and £100, give or take a pence. So with that said, let's get on with it. So first of all, let's take a look at the packaging. So as you can see, it's actually really nice retail packaging. So it's the SWAFAN 12 RGB, radiator fans, Thermaltake Premium Edition. So these are essentially very premium. Now you've probably guessed that already from the price anyway, and the fact that we've got 30 addressable RGBs per fan, which is pretty insane. So we've got front lighting, rear lighting, and also center hub lighting, all of which we'll be seeing later on in the video if you haven't already seen it from some of the B-roll. Some of the other key features of this, obviously, these are premium, so anything which needs to be addressed with fans has been. So we've got things like really thick anti-vibration dampeners, we've got full PWM control, which can be controlled in Thermaltake's TT Plus RGB software, options for setting them as silent, performance, and all that kind of stuff. And of course, in the RGB software, you can do all kinds of crazy stuff with the RGB to make it look exactly how you want to in your particular rig. And of course, as with all things RGB TT Plus, then you can synchronize it all together. So if you've got any other Thermaltake accessories which support the TT RGB, then you can sync them all together and have everything looking absolutely amazing. When it comes to specifications, again, very similar between the two, although obviously with the larger fans you do get more airflow, more static pressure, all that kind of good stuff. I'll put the specifications on the screen for you now, but essentially you're looking at 120 by 120 by 25mm or 140 by 140 by 25mm for the fans, so they're going to fit into regular setups and obviously on radiators, all that kind of stuff. When it comes to the static pressure, depending on which way you mount them round, is going to have some effect on it, as again you've probably seen from the close-ups there. So in traditional kind of airflow mode, you're going to get more static pressure, but when you flip them round and have them into kind of reverse airflow, then you're going to get slightly more airflow, but slightly less static pressure. So it kind of makes sense, and this is going to be swings and roundabouts. So where you gain on one, you lose on the other, and vice versa. So with that said, let's take a look and see what is actually going on here. Now, actually, in full disclosure, I should say, Thermaltake have actually sent us these for review purposes. They've not asked us to say anything. They did send a very small review guide, but essentially it just went over the specifications and some of the key features, which I've already gone over. I have tried this already on a mock-up system I will be putting these into a case a little bit later on in the video so you can see exactly what they look like in full setup. So we're going to be putting 3 140s up the front in the case, and the rest of them we're going to be putting 2 in the top, 1 in the rear, so you can get a good idea of how the RGB chase function works and all that kind of good stuff. Now again, like I said, both sets are identical in terms of what you actually get. The only thing that's going to be different obviously is the fan sizes. So you get all your usual stuff, so you get your setup guides, there's a couple of those, one for the RGB setup and one for the actual fans, how to connect up to the hub, etc. Then you get the actual fans themselves, and these are actually really chunky. So if you've seen the Thermaltake Tough fans, you can get an idea of what the quality is like and the kind of weight, all that kind of stuff. So there is the fan, or at least one of them. So you can see there, got the standard blades installed. The reason between the blades, or the way of working out which blade is which, so the standard airflow blades have got the black central hub, and the reverse airflow have got a silver front, so you can always tell at a glance which one is which, although it does look pretty obvious from close up, but just in case you're wondering, then you can tell by the colour on the front. You've also got the dampening, so there is rubber dampeners in all 4 corners, and that is on both sides. And on the back there you can see some specifications of the fan itself. Coming off the fan, something which some of you are going to absolutely love and some of you may potentially dislike is the fact there is just a single cable. And this single cable, quite a long length on it as well, so this plugs into the actual control hub. So already you're going to be noticing one of the potential downsides, and that is the fact that you do actually have to use Thermaltake's hub with this. There isn't any way of connecting this up manually or through any other software. It is all digitally controlled. Really nice long cable, so we're looking at somewhere in the region of about 1 meter long for the cable, and it's all covered in Thermaltake's usual kind of rubberized braiding, which is really, really nice. And it terminates in a kind of USB type header connection, although it isn't, so you can't just plug that into a USB header. That doesn't work. So I've taken all 3 of them out of the box now, so you can see exactly what is going on. They are all identical, same length cables, all that kind of good stuff. This is the really cool bit. So if you want to actually change out the fan blades, all you do is just push, and they snap out. So that gives you actually a lot of benefits. So first of all, obviously fans pick up dust like a Hoover. So you can quite easily now get yourself a microfiber cloth or some sort of cleaning agent, and you can just wipe around the outside edge. So if there is any dust or debris, which is actually on the RGB elements or just on the fan sides, you can clean them super easily. And of course, the actual rotors itself, it is actually a 4-pole motor, so if you want to, you can get your compressed air, whatever, give that a blast just to keep that nice and clean, which is going to give it a little bit of a longer lifespan. Also as well, something which some of us fan users do often end up doing, and that is you can lubricate the bearing. So they do actually include in the packaging, I'll show you that shortly, some lubricant, so you can actually do that. But the cool thing is the blade itself, as you can see, so if you just want to clean your blades up, if they've got particularly dirty for some reason, you can literally just take that, throw it in the sink, give it a good wash, let it dry off completely, and then you can reinstall it. Tiny little drop of oil actually on the stem itself, and then all you do is just push it straight back in and it will lock into place. But potentially, you may not wish to put the standard blade back in, you might want to reverse the airflow. So let's see how we can do that. So now you can see the very cool part. So this is the alternate blade. So just to give you a side by side. So this is traditional, normal airflow, so as an exhaust, or you've got this one, which the blades are inverted, so this is then going to pull air through. So you still get to see all of your lovely addressable RGB, you still get to see the hub lights and all that kind of stuff, and we've got exactly the same deal there, so just a metal shaft which plugs into the hydraulic bearing, and just pop it into place, little snap, and that is it. You're ready to go. So if you've got your radiator mounted upwards like this, like in the PC behind me, you can have the fans on there, still see all of the RGB lighting, but actually have it as a intake rather than being an exhaust. And it doesn't really make much difference which way you do it in terms of fan speeds. So you're still going to get the PWM range between 500 RPM and 2000 RPM, and that is the same for both the SWAFAN 12 and the SWAFAN 14, which actually makes it very easy to control in the Thermaltake software, because you can just set your particular level. It doesn't matter which ones you've got plugged into the hub, it's still going to do the same RPMs. So let's take a look at the accessories and see how this all plugs in together. Now, don't be too concerned, there is a few cables here, but it isn't the end of the world, it really is quite straightforward. So this one here is your main data cable. So this actually is a USB 2.0, so a 9-pin, so you're going to need one of those on your motherboard. This terminates into 2 micro USB type connections, so you can plug this into 2 different controllers. So say for instance you really like the look of these and you want to splash out a little bit of cash and have a ton of fans in your system, you can actually plug in 2 controllers onto 1 hub. Now obviously if you want to, you can put one on each hub if that makes life easier for you. But I think that's actually a really good thing that they've done it so you can have two on there at the same time. There is actually on the back of the hub itself a little dip switch, so you can actually number these, so you can have kind of multiple sets of these. Just set the dip switches and then it'll give it its own unique ID, and each one of these actually has the ability to connect up to 5 fans, or 5 devices I should say. They do recommend you only use 3 fans of this particular style with this setup, but of course you can plug in other TT Plus items into there to share the RGB and to link it up to the system. So that's pretty cool. On the side you've got the pass-through connection, so if you don't want to use this, or maybe you've got 4 sets of this and you want to daisy chain them, there's also a daisy chain connector, so you plug that in into there. Then that's got the micro USB, then that plugs into another hub, so you can just daisy chain hubs along, which is excellent. On this side is the power connection. Now I'll show you the power lead, which is something which some of you may not appreciate. That is actually a floppy drive style connector, which is one of those things on power supplies which we quite often get as an adapter and you very rarely use, but now you've got the ideal opportunity to plug that bad boy in, and that does actually convert into a Molex. So if you've got a power supply which doesn't have a floppy drive connector, you do have a Molex connector. Obviously, depending on your power supply, you don't have to use that adapter cable if you don't want to. If you've got a floppy drive style power connection, you can just plug that straight in, so negating the need for that cable. So the hub itself, in terms of where you put it, there is actually some Velcro included with some of the fan screws, so you can put some double-sided tape on there which comes with the Velcro, stick it into your case wherever you want to, and like I said, because of the daisy chain cable, which is quite small, you can just have a couple of these connected. You'll see what that looks like a little bit later on, so yeah, excellent stuff. And you do get the 3 sets of screws, so there are 4 long screws per pack and 2 regular kind of case fan screws, so if you want to use it on a radiator, it comes ready out of the box to do that. If you want to use it into a case, obviously you can do that as well. Also, it comes with a cute little syringe with some lubricant in there. So again, with the fans, they do have a rated lifespan of 40,000 hours, which when I thought 40,000 hours, that seemed like a hell of a long time. But actually, if you think of it if being on 24/7, that's about 5 years. Now, obviously, most people probably won't have their PC on 24/7 all year round. So realistically, 10 years should be absolutely fine, which I think is a very decent amount of time. That is rated at 25 degrees Celsius ambient temperature, so obviously if you're colder or warmer, that may change slightly. But in terms of actually maintenance and protecting your investment, due to the fact that you can easily clean the fans, change the fan blades, also gain access to the actual motor rotor, and also lubricate it as well, I think these should last an awful long time. Now, speaking of which, it's time now to actually put it into a case so you can see what it all looks like. Okay, so there we go. There is the system up and built. I've got to be honest with you, I do really like these fans. So we've got 3 of the 140 SWAFANs up front. On the top, we've got 2 SWAFAN 12s, and on the back we've also got a SWAFAN 12. And the cool thing is, because I didn't really want this to be overly kind of negative pressured, because obviously there's restrictions, etc. So I've got the 3 fans on the front as being intake, so they're using the black centered fans, and on the top I've got 2 fans and they are actually pulling in rather than exhausting, which normally isn't something you can do very easily, and if you do, obviously you don't see that glorious RGB come through because it all gets kind of blotted out by the frame of the fan and also the motor stickers and all that kind of good stuff. And the fan on the very back is also an exhaust, as again you can see by the black center circle on there. So it is a really positively pressured system, so in terms of dust and all that kind of stuff, it's going to be fine. And also, because you've got positive pressure, it's going to get the air all around the system, cooling the GPU, although in this particular instance at the moment, the GPU doesn't need a great deal of cooling. But the fans themselves are doing a fantastic job, and as you can see, they look absolutely amazing. The RGB effects and the LED effects are very, very smooth, very easy to control in the Thermaltake software, which we'll take a look at shortly. But yeah, overall, I'd say in terms of ease of installation, having 1 cable from each fan is absolutely great. Obviously, when you get to the back here, which is a little bit of a spaghetti junction because there is 6 fans and 2 control hubs, etc., then yeah, it is a little bit messy, but actually not as messy as it would be normally if you had 2 leads on each fan. So an RGB lead and also a PWM lead. So having it all go into one controller is great. And in the actual software, it's nice that you can actually see all the fans, you can individually control them, all that kind of good stuff. So we'll take a look at that next. So this is the Thermaltake software. You can install, I'll put links in the video description. So as we've got the 2 sets of fans here, so we've got our primary controller here. And if you wanted to add additional features to maybe ports 4 and 5, all you do is grab your piece of Thermaltake supported hardware from the bottom here, and you can literally just drag it into where you want it to go, and then it will be in the right position. So if you don't want to get rid of something, you can just drag it off. Same for both controllers, so 2 controllers showing as linked in the system, and then we can go into other things. So we go into lighting if you want to. Oh yeah, don't forget to save your changes. So currently, as we've got it set up, you can see we've got our 6 fans, which are currently almost going off the screen. Maybe that needs a little bit of adjustment on Thermaltake's part. But you can go into this bit and you can choose basically whatever settings you want within reason. So you can choose your various effects. Now, if you want to do all fans, you select all, and you see they all become highlighted. Then you can kind of grab a color if you want to, and just go ahead and click it and add to a certain part of the fan itself. So if you think the outer side is the front of the fan, the inner ring is going to be the back of the fan, and this bit is going to be your central hub. So again, you can just apply the colors however you see fit. If you don't like it, just go down the bottom here, click on default, and you can reset it all or cancel. There we go, cancel. So that's taking it back to, you can choose your patterns as well. So you can make individual patterns. So if you don't like this, you can maybe delete a color. So let's get rid of white, don't want that on there. And get rid of the turquoisey blue. And there we go. So the actual kind of, the play bar stays the same length. So then you can maybe drag these around so the fades last longer. So if you want it in a certain position, you can do. So it's actually really flexible what you can do with this, which is more than what you can do in most RGB softwares, especially ones which come straight from the manufacturer. Obviously, third-party ones may have slightly more flexibility. Again, if you want to, do select all. So it's all highlighted. Go down and choose one of these settings here. So there's all sorts of settings you can have. So temperature and weather you can set up. So it will show the temperature where you are in the world, obviously related to what it is. So if it's cold, it'll be blue. If it's hot, it'll be red, that kind of deal. You've got the options for various different things. So you've got shooting star, and you can click on apply. So this is going to be your shooting star effect, and then you can speed that up if you want to. So that'll go from fan to fan to fan, jumping across, and then back to the others. So you're probably seeing this actually from the PC view at the moment as well, with this being slightly minimized, so you can see it actually jumping from one fan to the other. Again, if you want to, you can choose the speeds, all that kind of good stuff. So let's go back to select all, and we'll go back to, which one should we do? Let's do Aurora, and then click apply, and then you get the kind of Aurora effect going through the fans, which looks great. So also you've got things, so you go to my PC, see your temperatures, what's connected, but also you've got your fan speed section. So this bit is really cool. You've got your individual fans, which you can name if you want. So you could call one over CPU or front top, front middle, that kind of stuff. And you can choose your settings there. So you've got the option for performance, silent or PWM, and you can then use PWM silent and PWM performance. So you can toggle between those. Currently these are all set to the lowest possible performance and RPMs. So around about 600 RPM for all of them. I've noticed one of them is actually spinning slightly faster than the others. So I'm not entirely sure why, but it does seem to be doing that. And again, so you can do what you want, choose the settings, how you see fit there. But most of you, I think, will probably be looking at the lighting section, which I think is actually quite magical. And of course, you can save profiles, load profiles, group fans together, all that kind of stuff to make it work exactly how you want to. So there you go, there's a look at the Thermaltake software. It's pretty neat, and something I should have shown you as well, actually. You can, obviously, I did do select all, because I kind of like them all to be in sync, but you can, if you want to, select an individual fan and do things for it. So you can have one fan completely illuminated, one off, make up a Union Jack flag for all I care. You can do exactly what you want. It is really super flexible if you've got the time and the motivation to do it. But if not, I think the default looks which come baked into the system are great, and no doubt there will be profiles that you can download at some point. I think there probably is already. I'm not entirely sure. I haven't looked into that fully, but it seems to be that there will be profiles that you can save and export and import, all that kind of good stuff. So overall, let's say, what do we think about these fans? So obviously, they're not cheap. They are expensive. They are a premium fan. There's no escaping that. But if you think about it, £100 for the larger set, the SWAFAN 14, £90 for the SWAFAN 12. This is the initial launch price. Now clearly they could become a little bit cheaper, which would be obviously beneficial to us as consumers. £30 a fan, give or take, add in the controller. I suppose arguably you could say maybe £25 a fan. It still is an awful lot of money. but having said that, you do have the ability to remove the fan blades, as you do get spare sets here. Obviously, if you want to invert the airflow, which is what they're all about, then you certainly can do. The fact that you can oil the bearings is great. So that means that realistically, as long as Thermaltake keep on supporting the software and it's supported in the various different iterations of Windows, which may come out in the next 5 to 10 years, then there's no reason why these fans shouldn't last you an absolute lifetime. Because most fan failures come down to normally the bearings. And the fact that you can re-oil them or re-grease them basically takes that out of the equation. So in theory, they should last forever. And obviously, I can't comment how long they're going to last because they've only just come out. But I'm guessing they're going to last an absolute age. Anyway, that's going to be it for the Thermaltake SWAFAN 12 and SWAFAN 14. If you've got any comments or questions or anything you want to know about these, please do reach out to me in the comments section or join us on our Discord. And if there's any questions or any configuration things that you want to know about, please do let me know. I'll be more than happy to help. And of course, if you want even more information, you can reach out to the guys at Thermaltake. Again, they'll be in the links below as well also. So if you want to speak directly to them, you're more than welcome to. Links will be in there as well for purchasing these if you want to, in the UK and all around the world. Yeah, I think these are something a little bit different, a little bit special. You do pay a slight premium for that, but yeah, I think they've done a fantastic job. The concern is slightly about the wastage if you don't really want the other fans, but you do like the look of these. I guess that's a minor thing these days. You can always keep them, and if you do choose to use them in the future, then you certainly can do. It's nice to have the option rather than not having the option. Anyway, that's been the SWAFAN 12 and SWAFAN 14. I've been Mike. This is Mike's Unboxing Reviews and How To, and hopefully we'll catch you in the very next video. Thanks for watching.